Thanks, Sophia. Hey, everyone. It's great to be back here with you all at Voice Talks. I am Leslie Garcia-Amaya, and I am leading the meals and finance verticals for Google Assistant partnerships. I'm joined here today by Alana. And Alana, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Leslie. I'm really happy to be here.
Great. So, Alana, tell us more about your role with the Google Assistant.
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently leading business development across a variety of projects on Google Assistant. But most of them are tied together by one single theme. It's what can we do to test out new use cases and just continue to try out things that users will want to engage with. I think it's really important and super interesting to see how we can push the envelope on what users find helpful on the Google Assistant and just see what works, what's actually going to continue to be worth investing in the future. It's how we actually found the verticals that we have today, things that you're working on already, meals, finance, others. But of course, as we look to the future, what can we do to grow new features and invest in new partnerships? And frankly, it's always great to be at the beginning of how we think about these things.
Awesome. And I'm curious just to hear more about what brought you to Voice in the first place.
Well, I've been on the Assistant for an extremely long time. And in fact, I was on it since before Assistant even had a name. So it's been a while since I've had to think about why I started Voice, but I do remember that distinct thought that, hey, Voice is going to be the future. I thought about where mobile was. I thought about where the internet was before that. And just honestly, if you look at voice, it's going to be the next new big technology wave and how it changes consumer behavior and what we do in society to interact with information and technology. So I see where we've been on the Assistant. We started out with just two different device types. It was a speaker, a phone, and really a lot of the energy was put in developing new features so that we could bring users to the assistant to try things out. But now we've really evolved that. We started to invest in where users are today. We think about their context, what devices they're on. The assistant's on way more devices than it used to be. And all of that really has led to new opportunities for us to think about ways to get users involved and people generally engaged on voice technology. And I'm excited by all of that. I don't know. How about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I have to say, I always turn to you, Alana, when I want to know kind of what were things like, 4 or 5 years ago before my time on the team, because you always bring great perspective. For me, it was about marrying a couple of things. So one was I love working with partners. I love helping them think through how they experiment on our platform and how they engage with their customers in new and different ways. And voice is certainly one way that they're able to do that. The other opportunity that I saw was bringing more women to the voice tech field. So, this is kind of interesting timing because just last week we announced that Google Assistant is the first corporate sponsor of Women in Voice. If you haven't heard of Women in Voice, it's a global nonprofit focused on amplifying women in the voice tech community. So I'm just really, really thrilled that we're bringing together Google Assistant and Women in Voice, and just super excited about the year ahead.
Wow, I mean, that's fantastic news. So congratulations. That's great
Thank
to
you.
hear. I'm just curious. Tell me more about the sponsorship. What does it entail? What are you
Yeah.
looking forward to?
Yeah, so the sponsorship is going to entail a couple of virtual events this year, given we are still in this very virtual world. So, Google Assistant and Women in Voice will co-host a couple of events, and the goal of those events is to really provide networking and educational opportunities to women in the voice space. So, one of the things that I often think about is this sentiment around if you can see it, you can be it, and so we want to bring visibility to the women that are working in this voice space and inspire. Already heard anecdotes of women who are curious about voice, are kind of looking to dabble, but aren't sure if they're really going to be joining an environment of inclusivity. And when the more women they can see in the voice space, the more encouraged they feel to dive in and just get started. So it's a really exciting time for the community and for women in voice, especially.
Can I just give two snaps for the if you can see it, you can be it? That theme is really important, and I love that you have that passion and you're working on this, and you've accomplished so much in this area.
Thank you.
I kind of wish this was what you did all the time, but I know you have a day job on Assistant too, and that's
Yeah,
super
right.
helpful as we push forward. Just tell me a little bit more. I know you're focused on mobile on the Assistant, and mobile is
Yep.
obviously a huge priority for Assistant in 2021. So tell me what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I think about voice on mobile, you think about apps are already such an ingrained habit, right? We as users, we know how to use apps, right? And so if you think about how to change those habits, what would that look like? It's not an easy task. But first and foremost, you need to be able to reduce friction for users. You need to make it easier, simplify. Wherever you can do that, I think is a win on mobile. And so that's really what voice is looking to do. I'm most excited about it because it is just that much more seamless and frictionless, and I can get done what I want to get done in a lot less time.
Well, voice and mobile, I just, if you think about where voice is heading and where mobile has been, I just think it makes sense to marry the two in order to get users to really cross the bridge to being able to learn how voice can help their lives. And you see it right now. There's people who will dabble with a few phrases. They'll talk and talk to their smart speaker. They'll talk to their assistant on their phone. But it's like a couple of common phrases. It's the tip of the iceberg, and mobile is what that familiar context that allows them to continue to experiment and see how powerful a tool that voice really is. So as we continue to grow our investment in the mobile space, I really do think that this will become the path that will lead to mass adoption of voice technology. But I recognize that we're not quite there yet. We're doing things today to put us on the right path. So do you mind sharing a little bit more about what we're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's, the best way to learn more about what we're doing today is to see some actual partner examples. So I think about a couple partners that I turn to often. The first is Walmart. I don't know about you, Alana, but I am ordering my groceries all the time these days, and so I turn to Walmart because I know I can pick them up really easily. I don't even have to get out of my car. And so with Walmart, you can, starting from the Google Assistant app on Android, you can say book a time with Walmart. So when you, after you've ordered your groceries, when you want to pick them up. And then once you get to Walmart, you can say check into my Walmart order. So specifically what you see is happening here is we're deep linking the user from the Google Assistant app on Android into the exact place in the Walmart app where you want to be. Um, and honestly, it brings me like great happiness that I don't have to do all this tapping and swiping. I can just go exactly where I want to in the Walmart app and get my groceries and be on my way. Another example is Mint. Mint, Alana, do you happen to be a Mint user by chance?
Yes, I am.
All right. Yeah. So you know a thing or two about Mint. And if you haven't heard of Mint, they're an aggregator of your financial data. And so one of the things I love about Mint is that I can just see all my accounts in one spot. And so similarly, as like for Walmart, you start in the Google Assistant Android app and you say check my accounts on Mint, and you get taken directly to that spot in the app where you can see, are you a little too close to your credit card limit? Did that money transfer get made successfully? And so again, these are just examples of how we're using the Google Assistant app as just a voice entry point into your favorite apps on your phone.
So I just had a baby last year, and it's a big deal for me to get back into my
Congrats.
fitness. I downloaded the Nike Run Club app, which has
Nice.
got all the assistant functionality that we've been talking about. And it's been so easy to kick off a run just because I pick up my app and I say start a run, and it leads me directly to the point in the app where I'm starting to track my progress. And frankly, as a mom with limited time, I'm tired, I'm not necessarily motivated all the time. It does help me skip the part where I second guess whether I actually want to exercise that day. Um, so definitely a favorite. But look, I know we can talk about partner integrations all the time, and frankly, spend the rest of our time here doing that. But I do want to get back to the big questions. What do you think the future of mobile and voice is? Like, what's the future? Where are we heading?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's just going to continue to, refine and get easier and more seamless for users. And so what I mean by that is, I was listening to Kathy Pearl, who's a design manager on the Google Assistant just last week. She was talking to Brett Kinsella on his VoiceBot.ai live interview. And I have to steal a comment from her because it really resonated with me, where she's talking about the power of multimodal. And so think of, you want to open an app with your voice, but then you want to tap and swipe, and then you want to ask a question with your voice. And so you want to go back and forth between voice and tapping and touching. And we want to offer that flexibility to users to do just that. It doesn't have to be all voice all the time. It doesn't have to be tapping and swiping all the time. You should be able to go back and forth between what's most convenient for you in that moment. So taking advantage of the kind of the context that you're in, and that could change day to day, right? It's not like you're going to do that kind of take that kind of behavior in the same way every single day. So I'm super psyched about where we're headed, because I think what I really see is the technology working for us as the user versus us having to learn the technology to get it to do what we want. That's really what I get most excited about. But I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I really see the future of mobile and voice as it's just opportunity. You think
Yeah.
about on the product side, there's this is going to unlock information and access to information for a lot of different populations. There's a whole host of people that are illiterate around the globe. There are people who have accessibility issues. There's just young kids who can't read or tap or type. And all of those different segments are going to need different things that voice can address and help them get access to. And then on the flip side, you think about the economic opportunity. I just think back to when mobile was really getting into the groove of things and people started to access that at mass. And it ended up unlocking a lot of new business opportunities, a lot of new jobs, new things that people had never thought about doing with their lives. And frankly, I'm really excited to see that voice can actually do the same thing too.
Yeah, I totally agree that those are all such great examples. And if you think about the number of users that are actually, using, getting onto the internet for the first time, and they may do that, they may use voice for that'll be their first experience, which is just kind of wild. And hopefully, it's a really, really good one. So, Alana, this has been a really fun conversation. We are running out of time, but I want to ask you one last question. It's a bit of a pivot. Given it is Women's History Month, I wanted to hear more from you about who inspires you, whether it be in the voice space, tech space, wherever. Who are the women that inspire you most?
That's a great question. So my inspirations aren't necessarily voice specific, but two women. Mae Jemison, she's the first Black woman astronaut to head into space, and Katherine Johnson, who's a Black woman mathematician from the 1960s, who ended up she was such a critical lead in being able to land a man on the moon. And so those two, they face such adversity in just being able to perfect their craft at home and in their own environments. And then somehow they still have the vision to think about the unknown, the uncharted territory of space. No one's been there before. So just that vision alone is a testament to their own strength in themselves and just how they think about the world around them. So if I could just channel a little bit of that energy, I would be really grateful. How about you? Who
Yeah.
inspires you?
Well, and I think you're doing a great job of channeling that so far. So keep on doing what you're doing. For me, I recently came to understand a lot more about Gina Davis. We know her as an actor, a well-known actor. But what I learned recently is that she also founded the Institute on Gender in Media. And so she's looking to better understand and advocate for equal representation in film, in television, in media. And I'm just so inspired by the work that she's doing. And it resonates deeply with me because of the work that I'm doing with Women in Voice. So I don't know, maybe somehow I can figure out how to support her more. This has been such a fun conversation, Alana. I wish we could talk more. We're out of time for today, but I really want to thank you again for joining Voice Talks. It's been really fun talking with you.
Same. Thank you for having me.
All right, with that, Sophia, back over to you.